All right, it looks like we've sort of leveled out as far as people coming in. So once again, welcome to today's webinar, How to Find Remote Jobs and the Company's Hiring. My name is Bree Reynolds, and I'm the Director of Online Content at FlexJobs, and I'll be your host today. I wanted to welcome everybody today. For anybody who is in a snow-filled part of the country, thank you very much for joining us if you're homebound. And for everyone in the country and around the world, I know we have some international listeners as well. So thank you all very much for attending today. I think it's going to be a great event, and let's jump right into it. So first I wanted to go over a couple housekeeping items before we get into the presentation. Today's webinar will be recorded, so if you want to take notes, that's great, and we will also have the video available for you within the next 24 hours or so. We're going to post it on the FlexJobs blog, and tomorrow morning or early afternoon you'll receive an email with that link so that you can find the video and review it as many times as you like. Also, if you want to ask questions, we will have about 40 minutes or so of presentation followed by about 20 minutes of question and answers for the audience. And if you do have questions, there's the questions box on your GoToWebinar control panel, and you can use that to enter questions throughout the presentation. If you don't see that GoToWebinar control panel, you might look around for a little orange arrow on your screen, and if you click that arrow, the control panel will open up and you'll be able to see the questions area. My colleague Jen Blaze will be helping out with questions behind the scenes, so if you do have a question that she can answer, she'll help you out with that. And then otherwise, if you don't receive an answer, that just means that she's holding your question for the question and answer session. And we'll try to get to as many of those questions as we can. So today, about the presentation today, here are the topics that we're going to go over. First, just a little bit about FlexJobs for anybody who's new, and I know a lot of people have just recently discovered us because of our top 100 list, and so welcome for anybody who's new to FlexJobs. We'll tell you a little bit more about us, and then of course welcome to anyone who is already familiar with us or is a FlexJobs member. We're very happy to have everyone here. We're going to go over the 2015 top companies with remote jobs. That's the top 100 companies list, and we'll talk about trends in the remote job market, common industries and jobs for remote work, and then I think probably the highlight of our presentation here is we're going to have a company guest panel with ADP, Amazon, and Humana, and I'll talk a little bit more about our guest speakers from those companies in just a minute. And they're going to be discussing why remote work is important to their companies and also what they look for in hiring remote workers. So if you're looking for a remote or a telecommute or a virtual, however you want to say it, kind of job, this is definitely the place to be, to hear straight from the recruiter's mouths what they look for when they hire for those types of jobs. And then finally, we'll talk about some action items that you can hopefully put into action right after the webinar, and helpful FlexJobs resources to help you along the way. And then we'll open it up for the question and answer session. Like I said, that'll probably be about the last 20 minutes of the presentation, and we'll try to get to as many of those as we can. So first, I just wanted to talk about the panel to kind of give you a who's on deck overview. So we have three fantastic companies who were all named to our top 100 list for 2015. These companies all have recruited for a large number of remote jobs over the last year, and they'll talk to you more about those types of jobs and what they look for and that sort of thing during that presentation. Like I said, they're going to discuss why remote work is important to their company and what they look for in hiring remote workers. And I'll just have them say a quick hello here. We have Mary Brogan, who's the Talent Acquisition Manager at ADP. Hello, Mary.
Hi, good afternoon.
Thanks for being here. And we have Nathan Lim, who's the recruiter with VCC at Amazon. Hello, Nathan.
Good morning.
Good morning. And finally, we have Linda Sutton, who's the Talent Acquisition Lead at Humana. Hello, Linda.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi. I know it's funny to hear good morning versus good afternoon depending on where everyone is in the country. It's kind of the nice thing about remote work is that we're all kind of all over the place. All right, so we're looking forward to hearing from you three later in the presentation, and now I'm just going to kind of jump in and we'll get started with the first part. So just a little bit about FlexJobs for anybody who's unfamiliar. We were founded in 2007. We're actually celebrating our 8th birthday this month, so happy birthday, FlexJobs. Our CEO's name is Sarah Sutton Fell, and she founded the company back in 2007. We are a job search service that specializes in listing pre-screened, telecommuting, flexible schedule, full-time, part-time, and freelance jobs. So essentially any job that is not a traditional in-office 9-to-5 job, but that is flexible in some capacity, and that's also professional level and legitimate. Those are sort of the big things that we look for in the jobs that are posted to our site. We are also a virtual company, so we have 50 staffers who all work from home, and we're located in, I think now, 26 states throughout the country, so we're kind of scattered around, and we all enjoy very much working from home. And since 2007, we're very happy to say we've helped over 1 million job seekers who've been looking for flexible or remote jobs to better fit their lives with their work, and thrilled to be able to say that. We also have over 30,000 researched and vetted companies in our database, and I'll talk about the database a little bit more further into the presentation, but that's a great resource for anyone who's looking for the companies that are hiring for these types of jobs. And right off the bat, I'll say we are a membership site, so we're a little bit different than other job boards that you may be using. Most job boards are free for job seekers, and then they charge employers fees to post their jobs and to do advertising and that sort of stuff. We are the reverse of that. The reason being is that we want to be very particular about the types of companies and the types of jobs that get posted to our site. So when a job seeker signs up for FlexJobs, there's a monthly or yearly membership fee. It's $14.95 a month or $49.95 a year. And what you get is a very clean, ad-free, scam-free website where employers have been screened and vetted, and the jobs that they've posted are legitimate and all offer some type of flexibility. So we've kind of flipped the model around a lot, but what that lets us do is be completely beholden to job seekers. You are our #1 focus, and our goal is to make your search for a flexible job faster, easier, and safer. You won't find business opportunities or scams or commission-only jobs on our site, only professional level, legitimate, flexible jobs. And so we hope that that is worth it to our members. We hear a lot of times that it is, so that's always good to hear. And we do also offer a lot of free resources. So even if you're not a FlexJobs member, there are a lot of different things you can take advantage of on your site, or on our site, I should say, and we hope that you do that. And then we also are a sister site to 1 Million for Work Flexibility. This is an organization that was also founded by Sarah Sutton-Fell, our CEO, and essentially the goal of 1 Million for Work Flexibility is to bring together all the different voices in support of flexible work options. And so that's individuals like you, if you're a job seeker looking for flexible jobs, if you are a company who supports flexible jobs, if you are a government agency that supports policies that help people find flexible jobs or help flexible jobs become more common. All of those different voices come together in one place to support flexible work options and to sort of push it and make it grow, make that idea grow. So if you are in support of flexible work options, we invite you to go to workflexibility.org and sign your name, add your name to the 1 million of people who work to support this great idea, and we all think it's great because we work that way. So it's just a little bit about FlexJobs. Let's get into the topic at hand, the 100 top companies to watch for remote jobs in 2015. So where you can find the list, first of all, is on the FlexJobs blog. It's flexjobs.com/blog, and you'll see it right up at the top. And essentially, this is our second annual list, and it looks at the 100 companies that posted the most remote jobs in 2014. So out of that database that I was talking about earlier with about 30,000 companies in it, we've narrowed it down to the 100 companies who've posted the most remote jobs. And like I said, it's from that database of 30,000 companies. But remote jobs is one of those phrases that's often passed around with other phrases like telecommute, virtual, and work from home. So when we talk about remote jobs, we're talking about all those different ways that you might say it, whether it's telecommuting job or virtual job, at-home job, work from home job, all of those sorts of different variations on a theme. But the 100 companies on the list represent the companies who have posted the most number of those types of jobs over the last year. And the reason that we want to recognize them is because we think that they'll be a great company to watch in the coming year if you're looking for a remote job, which I have a feeling the vast majority of people on the call today are looking for that sort of thing. And we think these companies are a really good place to look to see what they're going to be doing in 2015 as far as remote hiring goes. And we also want to recognize them because they really are leading the trend in remote jobs, which we think are sort of a fantastic way to work, great option for job seekers, for employers. Everybody benefits from remote hiring, and so we just wanted to commend these companies also for their work in this field and to make remote jobs more of a mainstream kind of thing and not such an interesting, unusual way of working, but just, you know, a way of doing business. So in the list, I'm going to talk a little bit about the top industries for remote jobs, and really these are the career fields that that have lots of different companies in them who are offering jobs, remote jobs, in these types of career fields. So the top ones on the list include medical and health, and then you'll see a list of the different companies on the top 100 who've made this. This is just a sample of the different companies in each career field. But to see the whole list and to see all of the companies listed, you can go to our blog for sure. But this will hopefully give you a good idea of the different types of companies that are on there. Next up, we have customer service, followed by sales, computer and IT, administrative, education and training, and marketing. And so you can see remote jobs really have taken over a wide range of different industries, career fields, and companies. And we think it's a really good sign that remote jobs are here to stay because so many different companies and so many different careers have transitioned into working remotely that we really think it's something that will be a good trend to watch out for in the coming years. And something else to note, medical and health is often a surprise to most people to see that that's really the top career field for remote jobs or telecommute jobs. And it's true, month over month we track this a lot, and month over month medical and health is always at #1. So, and it's just interesting how that also reflects the overall job market, is that there are a lot of medical and health opportunities overall, and those do translate into remote opportunities. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of the types of opportunities that you'll find out there. So some trends in the remote job market. We track a lot of different statistics at FlexJobs just to kind of see what is going on in this area and how, you know, how it looks to continue over the next few years. And what we've seen, a couple interesting statistics for you, is that in 2014 a study found that 67% of employers allow occasional remote work, which is up from 50% in 2008. So an increase there in occasional remote work, which means maybe, you know, a day a week or a few days a month or something like that where people are allowed to work from home. And then 38% of employers allow regular remote work, which is sort of regularly scheduled people who are working from home on a regular basis. It might not be full-time, so they might not be working from home every day, but they are working from home on a regular basis, you know, as part of their regular schedule, and that's up from 23% in 2008. So there is definitely an increase over the last few years, and it looks like that is going to continue. So who's already working remotely? In the U.S., 24% of U.S. workers telecommute some hours each week, so like I said, that occasional telecommuting. And that's weekly. And then 4.4% work from home every single day. So that's a full-time telecommuter. That's like me. I don't ever step foot in an office. I am working from home all day, every day. And then 50% of the U.S. workforce actually have remote compatible jobs, which means that some or all of their job can be done from home. And an example that I love to give a year or two ago, I think we always keep track of the different surprising remote jobs that we see on the site, and one of them that we saw is remote neurosurgeon. And you would never think off the top of your head that a neurosurgeon could be somebody who works from home. But the way that they set it, sort of structured that job is that whenever the surgeon had to do those office type activities where they're, you know, filling out paperwork and they're calling patients to see how they're doing after a surgery, all of those sorts of things could be done from their home office. And then, of course, the thing that they would go into the office for would be to actually perform the surgeries. And so we see a lot of different things like that, where there are certain components of your job that do require you to be in an office or in a certain setting, like a surgery center, some of the time, but that also let you work from home another part of the time. So that's something to keep in mind as a job seeker, is that you have a wide sort of, we call it shades of gray of telecommuting, where there's all sorts of different ways to make telecommuting work for different jobs. So if you think, well, you know, I'm very customer facing in my role and I really need to be in front of clients, I'm not sure that my job could be done from home, if part of it can be done from home, if you're on the phone and you're checking emails and that sort of thing, then there are opportunities out there that sort of split that let you do the in-person stuff in person and then the other part of your job at home. So something to keep in mind is that there are a lot of different varieties of at-home jobs. And also something to keep in mind, the average remote worker is a 49-year-old college graduate who's a man or a woman at a company with more than 100 employees. And that is demonstrated by the 3 companies that we have on the call today. That large companies really are allowing a lot of people to work remotely. And it's not necessarily the small startup kind of companies that you would think. While they do offer those types of options, the average remote worker actually works for more of a larger, well-established company. They're also mid-level career professionals, which I think is interesting to a lot of people, and evenly split among men and women. So just to kind of give you an idea of who is working remotely, what the average telecommuter looks like. The best stat I think that we've seen so far is I think this was from a Society of Human Resource Management survey that found 83% of human resource professionals say that remote work will increase over the next 5 years. So straight from the HR recruiter's mouth, that remote work is going to be an increasing trend over the next 5 years, which is fantastic news for everybody on this call, because if you're looking for a remote job, that's exactly what you want to hear. Okay, so quickly I'm just going to go over some of the top career fields for flexible jobs, and these are the career fields with the most telecommuting and flexible job listings. So it's kind of a combination, but all of these career fields do offer a lot of remote opportunities as well as other types of flexibility like flexible scheduling or freelance opportunities, part-time and full-time schedules, and things like that. So these are the top fields, and I know this will look familiar for anybody who attended our last webinar last month. We talked about these different career fields, but again, just to show you the wide variety of opportunities that there are in remote and flexible jobs, and hopefully give you, an idea of what the possibilities are for you in your particular career field, or in related fields, or in something completely new. We see a lot of career changers coming to FlexJobs who are just looking to get out of their current career and try something brand new. So here's where a lot of the opportunity lies. I will also say that if you don't see your particular career field listed here, that doesn't mean that there are not opportunities for you. I mean, that doesn't mean, yes, that there are not opportunities. Sorry, I got myself with a double negative there. We have about 100 career fields on the FlexJobs site, and there are opportunities in every single one of them. This is just where a lot of them are concentrated. So, just to give you an idea of where sort of the most jobs are, but it certainly doesn't mean that opportunities don't exist in other fields. Excuse me. And so I'll talk about some common remote job titles. Our job research team, we have 14 job researchers who spend their days looking for flexible and remote job opportunities. And they go out onto different company websites. They look at different other job boards and all over the place to find these different opportunities and post them all to FlexJobs. They spend about 50 to 60 hours a day on average, and that's a day, but of course it's combined with 14 different researchers to find these types of jobs. So they're really putting in the time, and they have told us that these are the job titles they see over and over again. So here you can see, I think this is the top 20, just to give you an idea of the specific types of titles that we see very often on our site. And of course, when you're searching for keywords and looking for different titles, you'll want to play around with the keywords that you're using, use variations of these, like research assistant or associate. That's a good example. It could be said either way. Each employer has their own reasons for picking a certain title, and it may very well be the same as a different title that a different company is using. So you want to make sure that you're using different variations on these, but this should give you some idea of what the most common remote jobs are out there. All right, and without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our company guest panel, and they're each going to talk for a few minutes about their remote work programs at their companies, why it's important to them, and what they look for when they're hiring remote workers. And so hopefully this will give job seekers a good idea of what to expect and what they need to put out there when they're applying for these types of jobs, and also what types of jobs are out there. So in alphabetical order, we figured that would be the easiest way to go. Mary Brogan from ADP, why don't you get us started?
Great. Thank you so much, Bree and Jen. Thank you for including ADP in this webinar and myself. So I think what's really most important for ADP is hiring top talent. And one reason why we have such a robust remote strategy is because we are really looking for that best talent. And we realize that talent isn't always located in a geography where we have an office. So that's really been our philosophy, is to look at those positions that we regularly staff for, appreciate which positions can be filled remotely, and then really look to hire the talent in any geographic location to help staff those types of positions. We also see great value in providing that level of flexibility for our associates. One of the things that we actually noted on our last engagement survey with our associate population is that our remote or home-based associates have the highest level of engagement across our organization. And we really feel like that's a very positive outcome. And we work really hard to ensure that those associates are integrated into all of the programs and activities that are offered for our office-based associates as well. We also see that often we have associates located in remote locations that are really keenly aligned to where our clients are located. So there's really a number of benefits that we really gain from having associates either work remotely full-time or part-time, because it provides some benefits to them individually or professionally, and certainly it's a benefit to the organization because those associates are highly engaged.
Great.
Those are really some of the reasons why we support a robust program.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mary. That's fantastic. Good overview. And you're also a FlexJobs member, is that right?
I am. So I actually have been working remotely for about 8.5 years. Our family relocated from the Washington, D.C. area about almost 9 years ago. And so I've had the opportunity to work remotely. I am now in Denver. And I've joined FlexJobs because I think it's a great opportunity to appreciate what other companies offer those types of benefits as well. And, of course, I always have a smile on my face every time I see an opportunity with ADP.
Yes, absolutely. And we do too. I think our job seekers probably do also.
So in terms of what we look for, I think when, as a recruiter, established track record of being able to work independently. So from their past work experiences, they have that ability to work on projects. They've taken initiative. They've been successfully able to manage their workload. They're organized. They have a strong work ethic. So those are some of the key attributes or characteristics that we look for in an associate or in a candidate when we're hiring for a new position. And then finally, I think as we look at helping members find opportunities with ADP that are virtual or remote or flexible, what I would suggest is when you do your keyword search, what we're striving to do is ensure that the term virtual is included in the job title when we are posting our positions. So that's probably the very best way to search for positions. We do sometimes integrate different terminology in our position descriptions like virtual, remote. Sometimes we even reference the term home-shored. That's a term we use internally to represent associates that are home-based. So those would be some good keywords to use when searching for opportunities with ADP.
Oh, that's great. I love little tips like that, home-shored. Because we're always hearing, I think we have a list now of 17 or 18 different ways to say work from home or remote or all those different things. So that's another one to add to the list. I don't think we have it.
Well, we try really hard to use a more common term like virtual or remote, but just in case it slips in, now you guys have the inside track.
Awesome. I think that's one of the goals of this presentation too. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Mary. And let's hear from Nathan Lim at Amazon. And actually, Nathan might be familiar if any of you joined us earlier this fall. Amazon did a presentation with FlexJobs to do some of their seasonal hiring. So, Nathan, welcome back.
Thanks, Bree. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, the webinar that we had, I think it was in November, really provided some great candidates, and we truly appreciate the partnership with FlexJobs this year. So my department is VCC, which stands for Virtual Contact Center, And everyone in our department, from our customer service associates, managers, operations, and HR, we all work 100% from home. This department was started about 3 years ago here at Amazon, and in the beginning we started out with roughly 800 employees. Just to give kind of a scope of how we've scaled, this past season for 2014, from August to the very beginning of December, we hired roughly 3,000 customer service associates, and these are all seasonal customer service associates. Right now we're in the process of converting some of these individuals to full-time employees. The opportunities, though, were varied from part-time work to full-time work, and there was always the opportunity for overtime. Another way to show how we've scaled was last year for 2013, our seasonal hiring, we hired roughly 1,200 customer service associates. This is truly important to Amazon because it's how we service our customers, and we are very customer service centric. We truly value our customer service, our customer base, and this department is growing tremendously. Next year we plan to scale probably at least 20 to 30% from the number that we had this year, and it will only continue to grow. What we typically look for our seasonal customer service associates are individuals, you don't necessarily have to have customer service call center experience previously. What's important to us is flexibility, because this is seasonal, because it's when our call volume is the highest during these, what we call, the season is called peak. We do ask that individuals are available all hours of the day, because our service hours are from 3 a.m. to midnight Pacific Standard Time, and we hire all across the United States. This year we expanded 9 additional states from 2013. Next year we plan to expand even further. I do not have the forecast for the total additional states, but we will be expanding again. Again, we do not look for, you don't necessarily have to have customer service experience. You just have to really value good customer service.
Great, and I think that's something that probably a lot of people wonder is the experience, and of course the variety of jobs that are being hired by the different companies that we have here today. It would depend on each job, but it's really nice to know that there are certain jobs where the specific experience isn't necessarily required so much as you have that customer focus. And I actually remember from our webinar in November, we had a police officer who had 30 years of experience, and he, dealing with the community face-to-face with quote-unquote customers all the time. And it was mentioned that would be fine as far as experience goes, because it's that sort of care and concern for people and their experience. So I think that's good to know for everybody.
That's correct.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Nathan. And let's see, Linda Sutton from Humana, last but certainly not least. Linda, take it away.
Thanks, Bree, and thanks so much for allowing Humana to participate in today's webinar. So to give you a little history, Humana was founded in Louisville, Kentucky in 1961 by 2 lawyers who had a dream, and this was to create a nursing home where our patients would be treated like family. Since then, Humana has continued to transform in order to keep pace with the changing times and our evolving customer needs. So we went from a nursing home environment to hospitals, and then transitioned into a health benefits company. But today, we are a health solutions company that's focused on helping people achieve lifelong well-being. Now, we employ roughly 52,000 associates, and we do have a presence across the United States and in Puerto Rico. We not only hire full-time and part-time associates, but we have a flexible workforce that includes limited-term associates, and this would be like a temporary associate on our payroll. We also have variable staffing options, which allow for seasonal coverage and the ability to work flexible hours that meet business needs. And additionally, we do have a growing work-at-home workforce. So at Humana, we do recognize that each business need and associate is unique. So we provide our associates the tools, the knowledge, the guidance, and the work-at-home freedom to get involved from the beginning. we not only seek diversity in culture and heritage, but in experience and knowledge as well. We know that seeing a situation from different perspectives often leads to a better solution. Therefore, that's why it's important for us to offer flexible work opportunities and remote capabilities. So at Humana, what we look for when we're hiring remote associates, first and foremost, it's vital that they do have the ability to obtain a high-speed internet connection or cable. This will allow for our VPN connection along with our voice over system that goes with the computer. Additionally, the ability for that business to support remote work. Not every business within Humana has that capability. And then the associate's proven ability to work independently, because let's face it, when you work at home, sometimes it's easy to feel like you're on that island. So the ability to reach out when needed, not be afraid to ask questions, to ask for guidance. So some of the roles that we've traditionally hired for remote work are personal health coaches, community health educators, referral specialists, customer specialists, medical directors, and in talent acquisition, our workforce for recruiters, team leads, and managers, we're 95% work at home. So we've proven throughout Humana that this can be done. And with those trends, several of our groups have lately started to pilot in new areas the work-at-home opportunities. And we do see that this trend is going to continue. Another term, as we're talking about different terms, we do use the work-at-home as a search function on humana.com for our careers. And we do also embed in a role description if that could be virtual as well. So do look at work at home and virtual. We also will use the term agile here at Humana. So that does conclude and give a brief snapshot of our organization along with some of the flexible employment opportunities that we do have here at Humana.
Great overview, and good to hear that it's growing. Also, that you're kind of piloting some new positions to work at home, and to add to our list of different ways to say it too. All right. Well, thank you all very much. And for job seekers, you will definitely have the opportunity to hear again from these companies in just a couple minutes. I just have a couple other things to go over for our presentation, and then we'll open it up to the question and answer session. And I do see that there's a lot of questions coming in, so we will get to a whole lot of those. Okay, so some action items for job seekers as we're looking towards the end of the presentation. What can you start doing once this is over to actually put yourself out there for remote jobs and get started? The first thing I would recommend is research. So you've heard from these three companies about the variety of different jobs that they're offering, the different ways that they offer the jobs, if they're part-time or full-time or temporary or seasonal, all sorts of different options out there. And so researching what's available is really the first step to knowing what's out there and then to applying. It's really tempting to go out there and start applying to every job that you see because you're excited, or to a lot of the jobs that you see. But the best thing to do is really get to know the types of jobs that are out there before you start sending applications, and hone in on those jobs that you're most interested in. Be open to some new options as well. Learn about the different things that relate to the career fields that you've been in, but also some brand new stuff that you might not have even heard of. And really that is just sitting down and looking through job listings and seeing what is out there. And so you can start with the top 100 list, look at other companies as well, look at our different jobs. I'll have different resources on the next slide, to places that you can get started with this research, but I think that really is the #1 step. And then play up your remote work experience. I think what Nathan and Linda and Mary all talked about was, having skills like the ability to self-manage and to focus, to speak up and ask questions, and to be sort of proactive in your communication, and to show that you have sort of, either previous experience, if you do have previous remote working experience, to add that to your resumes, your LinkedIn profile, talk about it in your cover letters, to really put that out there to show that you've been successful in this way of working, which is different than working in a traditional office for sure. or if you don't have previous experience, to try to find opportunities to practice. If you're currently employed, to try to find opportunities to practice in your current job, whether it's working from home maybe one day a week, or if you're, has a snowstorm coming up and you have the ability to either take a snow day or work from home, if you can try out working from home. And really this is both not only great to have that experience and to be able to say that you do have some experience working from home, but also to make sure that working from home is right for you. A lot of times people try it out and they realize that it is not something they're actually interested in doing. The example I always give is that I love to work from home. I work from home 100% of the time. I don't know if I would ever go back to a regular office. My husband, on the other hand, when he works from home, he goes a little stir crazy. He likes the feel of the office. He likes having people, physically around him. And so for him, working from home is just not an option that he wants to consider. So I would definitely recommend practicing if you can to make sure that it's right for you, as well as to gain that experience. And then BOLO, be on the lookout for work from home scams. So I'm going to amend our first one because we hear a lot that with the FBI and the Better Business Bureau have designated phrases like work from home and work at home as scams, but as Linda said, they're also used in real legitimate job listings too. So it's not to say that you should never use work from home or work at home when you're doing your searches, because you will find real legitimate jobs with those keywords, but to also just be aware that scams typically use those keywords more than other types of words that describe remote work. So when you're looking for those types of jobs, just be on the lookout, stay alert, and be aware that you may be encountering some scams as you find those legitimate opportunities also. And then some of the other keywords that we hear often are remote job, remote work, virtual job, telecommute job, virtual office, home shored, we learned is another one. And agile, I really liked that one from Humana, agile workforce, which really is, especially for people who are in that snowstorm in the Northeast today, working from home helps businesses stay in action during snowstorms like that. 5 or 10 years ago, it would have just been a snow day and everyone would go home and it would be great fun, but the business wouldn't be able to continue functioning for that day, whereas now it is truly an agile way to work. So I really like that keyword. So those are just some of the things that you can do as you kind of get started in your search for remote jobs. And then some helpful resources at FlexJobs to help you get those action items underway. The FlexJobs blog, not to toot my own horn, but we have a great writing team who puts together the blog each week. We have about 21 articles published each week related to remote work, flexible jobs. We also feature job seeker success stories, so you can hear from other job seekers where they've gotten hired, and those job seekers, we ask them to give advice to current job seekers to talk about what worked for them and what they would recommend other job seekers do. So please feel free to check out the blog and all the different advice articles we have there. We also have a company guide. We call it the Guide to the Best Companies for Flexible Jobs, and it is basically where you can find that database of 30,000 companies that we were talking about. This is the guide, flexjobs.com/company-guide is the place to go, and you'll be able to search for companies based on industry, based on your location, based on the rewards or accolades that they've won in the past. So there's a bunch of different ways to search for companies that are hiring and to see what types of flexible jobs they've posted in the past. So we offer historical data. You can see all the different jobs that they've posted previously to really get a sense of what opportunities have been out there and what those companies have hired for. We also offer, obviously, our job search. If you go to flexjobs.com/jobs, that's where you can get started with our categories. But the location search is really nice. As Nathan was talking about with Amazon, they hire in very particular states, and some companies do have very particular location requirements for their for the jobs that they're hiring for, even if they are work from home or virtual jobs. And this is a big surprise to a lot of job seekers because you think working from home, it doesn't really matter where you work. Well, it does. There are a variety of reasons why a company might require a location. It has to do with where their customer base is, where they're set up to actually have employees for employment tax purposes and that sort of thing. They might be based in a certain state and they'd like you to be available for in-office meetings or events. They might want coverage over different time zones. They might be opening a new market in a new area and they need people there. So there's a huge number of different reasons why a company might require a location for a telecommuting job, and we found that about 75% of the telecommuting jobs out there do require some sort of location. It might be a specific state or region of the country. It might just be a country in general. So there, be sure to check each listing for that information. If you go to search by location, though, you can also search for the international listings that we have. You can search by country, but you can also search for jobs that have no location requirement. So if you need a job that allows you to work from anywhere, we have the ability to search for those particular jobs on our site. And those are called work from anywhere jobs or just anywhere jobs. And those are jobs that can be done from anywhere. And then finally, we have the job search categories, which I mentioned just briefly. It's flexjobs.com/jobs, and these are all different career categories. Like I said, there are about 100 different categories and subcategories listed here, and it's a really good place to just start your search and see, based on what you've been doing, what your career field is, what is out there in terms of flexible and virtual jobs. It gives you a really good idea of the different titles, the different companies that are hiring, all of that sort of stuff. As a FlexJobs member, you have complete access to everything. You'll be able to see everything as long as you're signed into your account. If you're not yet a member, you'll have access to everything except the application information. So when you search for jobs, when you see a job posting on the site, you won't see how to apply or the company that's hiring, but you'll see the title, you'll see a brief description, you'll be able to get a really good sense of what that job is. So you can see the jobs, all of the jobs that are on our site, without being a member, but then to actually apply, you'll need that membership. And so that's the difference there. But we do want to give people an idea of what is on the site to make sure that it's worthwhile for you when you sign up. We really want you to be happy with the jobs that you're finding on the site and know that there's some opportunities for you there. And so those are some of the resources at FlexJobs, but I do see all of the questions flooding in. So we're going to get started, and essentially I'm going to ask the different recruiters to answer these jobs or these questions depending on what's being asked, and then I'll field some if they're about FlexJobs, and we'll just kind of have a discussion. But for Nathan and Linda and Mary, if you have anything to add or you want to jump in and answer a particular question, please feel free. We want to hear from all of you and hear what you have to say. Just a quick note before we get started. There will be an email that you'll receive tomorrow with a link to today's webinar recording, and it'll also include a very quick survey. It'll take you a few seconds to fill out. There are 3 questions, and it'll help us build future webinars and make sure that these events are really helpful for you. And then also it'll give you a chance to sign up for the FlexJobs newsletter if you haven't already, which includes discounts for job seekers on a variety of different things. So if you're job searching, it's a great resource, and it comes out weekly, and you can sign up for it there. So be on the lookout for that email tomorrow. But without further ado, let's get into some of the questions. And so let's see, we're just going to sort over here. So as far as location-based hiring, I know we've heard from Amazon that they do have specific states that they hire for. Mary, with ADP, are there specific states that you hire in? Are your jobs open to a variety of different locations? How do you kind of handle that?
So that's a great question, Bree. So it's really, so the answer to that question is yes and yes and yes. So we do at times hire regionally. So there may be on a job posting, it may say virtual, but to the point that was brought up earlier, it could be that we're looking for somebody in the West region. And so there would be a listing of states where we would have flexibility to hire that particular individual. However, there are also times when, based on that particular role, we are open to hiring that person anywhere in the United States, for example, sometimes even in Canada or maybe even globally. So we do have all of those scenarios in which we might be looking for somebody regionally within a particular state, or we have the flexibility to hire for a particular position, anywhere.
Great. Okay. So, yep, like you said, a little of everything.
Yeah.
And then Linda, for Humana, what's the scoop there?
Have any limitations geographically to hire. I'd say the main thing is whether or not that business in that particular state could support remote work. I'll give you a small example. We have roughly 120 recruiters here in talent acquisition at Humana. I have 10 direct reports. They all 10 of us work in different states. So you will see on our website, again, we do have that work at home selection where you can click that button to search, but there are no limitations here at Humana.
Great, very good to know. And as far as putting remote experience on a resume, a number of different people have, or on an application anywhere, a number of different people have asked, how is that best displayed? How, when you're reading an application and you're looking to see if they do have previous experience working from home, where do you look? Where would you like to see that sort of thing? Nathan, how about you?
Typically for our roles, even though it's 100% remote, it's not required. But if you put it in your job title, virtual customer service associate, remote customer service associate, it could definitely put you in front of the pack.
Great. Okay, so sort of putting it right in front of whatever job titles you've got on your application, if that applies. That's a great option. And then Mary or Linda, any other ideas there as far as where you look to see if somebody has previous experience, if you're looking for that sort of thing?
Sorry, this is Mary. So I would suggest the same thing. You can reference it in your job title, or if you want to also just put it maybe in the first couple of bullets of your job description or your resume. That helps us to, again, appreciate whether or not you've had that experience in working remotely.
Great, perfect. So just putting it right out there is the easiest way. Make it easy for you. And then let's see. Just scrolling through here. As far as pay goes, this is a question that we get often, and we're not asking for specifics because obviously you guys have a variety of different positions that you hire for and lots of different pay grades and salaries. In your experience, and I know, Mary, you've worked from home for 8.5 years, is pay less or more when you work at home versus in an in-office? Is there a discrepancy, or is that a misconception that people have?
So it is a great question. I guess I can answer it just based on my personal experience and the companies that I've worked for. So I've been with ADP for 3.5 years, and I'm not paid. I am paid according to the position that I've been hired for. Now, like many companies, we look at or factor in sort of the geography in which somebody lives in. So we have within our compensation structure. We have, varying ranges based on the location in which somebody lives. Of course, somebody who lives in New York State, let's say for an example, may have a higher cost of living than somebody who, let's say, lives in Alabama. So we do factor that in our general compensation philosophy, but we don't factor in whether the person works remotely, for example, from home, or whether they work in an office. That's not a factor we consider in the compensation offer when we bring in a new associate. So I hope that helps.
Yep, it does, definitely. Great, thank you very much. And FlexJobs, somebody's asking for FlexJobs, are there more job listings available for members versus non-members? The answer is no. So what you'll see when you are a non-member and you're just checking out the different listings at FlexJobs, it's the exact same number of listings that you would see if you were a member. You'll just get a shorter description. You won't be able to see the company name, and you won't be able to see the application information. So it's basically just to give you some information about each job on our site. You'll see all of the jobs, but you'll see less information about all of the jobs, if that makes sense. And so that's one of the difference between the member versus the non-member for FlexJobs. All right, let's see. I guess this is a good question for each of you. What are some of the roles that you hire for most often for remote positions? If you could just give a couple different job titles for reference for people. I know you've probably touched on this a little bit briefly in each of your discussions that we were talking about before, but Nathan at Amazon, what are some of the job titles that people should be on the lookout for when they're looking for remote work at Amazon?
I can't comment across the board for Amazon. I know that everyone in my department. So you have to figure for a business unit, you have HR, you have operations, management. We all work 100% from home. For the roles that we primarily fill on higher volume, they're customer service associates. I'm not sure if that answers the question completely, but for us, this past year again, we went through a hiring blitz, and it was all customer service associates.
Great. No, that's really helpful because it does give that sort of exact job title for people to be on the lookout for. And Mary, at ADP, what are some of the titles that you guys have been hiring for?
So historically, we have hired sales for our sales organization, implementation, client service, so positions that might have a strong client-facing responsibility, like a relationship manager, where they're going to be visiting clients and spending time with clients, and sometimes client service representatives. Those roles probably not as frequent, maybe as an Amazon, but those other types of positions, sales, implementation, client relationship management. And then we really have, again, I think like Linda mentioned in Humana, we do have a number of positions where, regardless of the job title may vary in finance or tax or other areas, marketing, where the business has just made a decision that they have a flexibility to have that position remotely based. So again, those would be the core areas we hire for remotely, but there are a lot of other types of opportunities where we do offer some flexibility in terms of the work location.
Great, very helpful, thank you. And Linda, from Humana, what are some of the titles that you've seen as far as remote positions at Humana go?
Sure. I would say our sales reps, RNs and LPNs, social workers, personal health coaches, in some location, customer specialists and recruiters would probably be the most common that are work at home for us.
Great. That's great. And it actually showcases just the big variety between, with these three companies. What we were hoping for was to get a lot of variety, and I think we've really gotten that, just to see all of the different options that are out there. I think you guys cover all of those big career fields that we were talking about towards the beginning of the presentation. So thank you, guys. And then here's a question about FlexJobs, talking about this is, I think, probably something that a lot of people who have time off from the workforce for whatever reason have, but the question is specifically about being a mom who had taken about 6.5 years out of the workforce with small children, but she has 15 years of experience in her field, and how can she get employers to take her seriously with that sort of gap? And so I'll answer, and then if some of the recruiters want to jump in, please feel free. So one of the resources that we have on the FlexJobs blog, last spring we did a thing called Jobs for Moms, and it was essentially geared towards helping this very situation, because we get this question a lot where people have excellent experience on their resume, they have years of service for a particular career field, and then they've taken time off of work to raise children, to support their family, and getting back to work is daunting and frustrating, and you just kind of don't know where to start or how to get employers to take you seriously, as this person said. And so I would, if you go to the FlexJobs blog, we have a subcategory called Jobs for Moms, and you can see all of the different blog posts that we posted there. There are over 100 in that particular topic area that you can look at, and a lot of them deal with how to handle the gap, how to handle that gap. There's actually a great webinar recording that we did with Raquel Ellison about the gap, getting over it, getting around it, getting through the gap, and getting back to work if you're in that position. And so I think that's a fantastic resource. And then I don't know if any of the recruiters wanted to jump in and add any of their tips as far as from the recruiting side, what they look for and when people have gaps on their resume like that.
I believe this is Mary. So I guess I would say that probably my best suggestion is, and this is actually advice I just recently gave to a mom who was returning to the workforce, is that try to customize your resume. So, I make a recommendation that, you try to call out the type of experience and the background and the skills you have that's directly applicable to the role that you're applying for. So I think the more you can tailor it and really highlight or spotlight the skills and experience you have that are relative to what that employer is hiring for, even though there's a gap, that's helpful. In her circumstance, she went ahead and referenced the fact in the heart of the resume that, she had taken time off, and if I recall correctly, might even have listed stay-at-home mom as a job, as her job. And so, that helped to provide, a recruiter or a manager looking at a resume, right off the bat, an appreciation for why there was a gap. Now, that may not be an option for everyone, but that was a strategy that she used, and it seemed to be pretty successful for her because it sort of eliminated some of the questions that arise if there isn't anything referenced there. And there's certainly, I'm sure, a number of successful ways to represent that.
Yep, and I think those are great solutions too. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Nathan.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'd have to agree with Mary on that. You know, as long as it's addressed and there's a variety of ways to speak to being a stay-at-home mom, and excuse me, I can't quote what would be best, but you know, we've had in my personal experience as a recruiter, you know, even before Amazon, I've had some of the best candidates who were rejoining the workforce. So it shouldn't be daunting, but it should be addressed, because if there's nothing on there, that's when questions could arise.
Oh, that's great to know. So better to provide the information than to sort of leave it up to the recruiter's imagination to fill in the details there. Great. Well, thank you all very much. And then this is a question we also receive a lot from job seekers, and it's really about setting up your home office, what to have, what not to have. And I know for some positions, certain equipment is required even for the application process. So without going into too many details, because I know it'll probably say on your job listings if certain things are required, but generally speaking, what do your companies look for when somebody is setting up a home office to work remotely for, you know, Humana or ADP or Amazon? What sorts of things would you recommend people either have or get for their home office space? And Linda, do you want to start?
Yes, for Humana, the important thing, and it's a must, it's vital to have, is that high-speed cable. And I believe our qualifications is 10 M by 1 M for the internet speed.
Okay, great. So yeah,
and that's to support the VPN, and we have a voice over phone that logs into the computer. So that's why you have to have the high speed. That phone takes a lot of the speed away, so you need to have it to support the programs that are up on the system.
Great. And yeah, the specifics like that, 10 M, for anybody who's interested in testing their internet speed, if you go to speedtest.net, you can get a sense of what your current internet speed download and upload is. And like Linda said, for Humana, it's a requirement of a minimum of 10. And I've heard others it's minimum of 5. And like Linda also said, it really depends on what they're requiring as far as your phone and all of that sort of stuff go. So fantastic. Thank you, Linda. Anything else?
Not from Humana. That's the major requirement.
Okay, great. And Mary, what about ADP?
Sure. So we actually have a checklist. So once you come on board, like Humana, you need to have internet capability, and we also have a capability where we provide voice over IP, so for your phone usage. But otherwise, we do want to make sure that you have what you need. So you do need to have a desk. We will provide you with an ergonomic chair because we want to make sure that you've got a good work environment, whether at home or in an office. And we do ask that you have a file cabinet, something that has a lock, because ideally if you have proprietary information, we want to make sure that there's a place that you can store it, especially if you're a manager and you are managing a team of folks and you have some information in there pertaining to your associates. And one of the things we actually have to do is we have to take a picture of our home office because the company really wants to make sure that you've got the right setup and you're taken care of. And then, of course, if you've in the past had any, if you've had any complications from, working in from home, whether it be, ergonomic or otherwise, we'll actually then send out somebody who can come into your home office and assess and make sure that you have the right setup so that you are successful.
Wow, that's great. I think that's the first time I've heard that from a company. That's really interesting. Very good to know. And Nathan, are there any particular requirements for Amazon or just general things you wanted to mention?
Yeah, like Mary and Linda had mentioned, we do have a list of requirements, and it is in our job posting. You do have to have an internet speed of 5 megabytes or faster. You also have to have a dedicated landline because and that may change for 2015, but don't quote me on that. You have to have a dedicated landline because that's how calls are transferred to our external CSAs. And you have to have a PC which has Windows 7 or Windows 8 and a monitor that is at least 21 inches in size. The larger the better, because what happens is our customer service associates are answering chat windows as well as going through our database at the same time. So the larger monitor is required. You can use a Mac, you can use a laptop, you just have to have an external monitor hooked up.
Great, perfect. I think this is all really helpful to get people looking around their offices right now going, okay, I've got that, I need to get one of those. But like all the recruiters said, please definitely check out their checklists too as you're applying, and getting to know about the positions just to make sure that you're doing what's required and not necessarily doing what isn't required too. So working from home is definitely, a kind of investment, but also there are different specifics for each company, so be sure to pay attention for those. And I know we've come to the top of the hour, so I think it's probably time to wrap it up. I wanted to say thank you so much to Linda Sutton at Humana. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you for having us.
And Mary Brogan at ADP, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bree. I appreciate it. We appreciate the opportunity to be on your list.
Yeah, no, and yeah, congratulations, I should say also. And Nathan Lim from Amazon, thank you as well.
Thanks, Bree. Thanks, Jen, and thanks to FlexJobs.
Awesome. Well, if anybody has any other questions, you've got our email. You can learn more at flexjobs.com, and please look out for that email tomorrow that you'll receive with the link to this recording of the webinar, a very quick survey that we'd love for you to fill out, and you can also sign up for the FlexJobs newsletter. But we wish you all the best of luck in your job search and for finding a remote job in 2015, hopefully the very early part of 2015 for all of you. And yeah, best of luck with everything. And thank you, congratulations again to all of our companies on the top 100 and to Humana, ADP, and Amazon. Thank you very much for participating today. I think the job seekers got a great deal out of it in looking at the thank yous that are streaming in right now in the chat box. I think that I can say that with certainty. Everybody really appreciates your time. So thank you very much, and everybody have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.